Well, we're out for the day, and this is on a site north of Stonehenge and south of Avebury, called Lockridge Dean, and as you can see, it's beautiful sunshine. But what makes it really special is the existence of quite amazing Sarsen Stones. And back in the end of the Ice Age, the ice melted, and on top of within the glaciers would have been these stones, which, as it melted, got deposited on the ground. As you can see, they're still here. I think it's 8,000 and 9,000 years later, and they have a bit of a power about them. I know that's probably a human interpretation, but you can definitely see why, if these stones were in the landscape, you'd be drawn to them. And you can maybe even see why you'd be drawn to the idea of perhaps what they were. You'd make up stories about why they were here, and you can also think there's a definite desire to stand them up. I know we're kind of used to the idea of standing stones, and perhaps that's why that's so obvious, the idea of standing them up. But somebody one day thought, do you know what, that looks like it's lying down in the landscape. And, so rather than leaving it lying there, perhaps it needs to be stood up. And then you can imagine why. Okay, here's one. One of the biggest ones in the field, and you can definitely imagine why somebody said, well, now we stood it up, why don't we move it to its friends? You can imagine easily actually stood here as to why standing stones and standing stone circles were created. There's a sort of power about these stones, they just lie in the landscape there. Why you would think perhaps that needs to be with its friends, and it definitely, rather than lying in the ground, needs to be standing. And this is one of the last sites in this area where the stones are still where they lay as the glacier melted. Most of it have been blown up, used for building rubble, and obviously some have been turned into stone circles, but most would have been used for building work and construction and building houses. So to find this little corner of the land where they still exist, it's quite special. I'll turn around, you can see next to this bush just behind me, there's a whole bunch of them that goes off into the distance. It's easy as a human being to put sort of interpretations on these things, but they must mean something. And for us, 8,000, 9,000 years is a long time, but for the planet it's really nothing. But for us it's significant. So yeah, what a place.